But one of those victims spoke to 2 Works For You reporter Will Dupree not long after being released from the hospital. So, Will, she actually went back to the scene?
Well, Stephen, she did. And even though there are no visible signs of this tragedy left here, Kaylee Carter of Tulsa tells me this horrific crash will forever haunt her memory.
I'm never going to forget that in my mind. You know, it's going to replay over and over.
The car that slammed into a crowd of OSU fans came to a stop in the exact place where Kaylee Carter and her roommate sat watching the parade.
I just saw something black coming at us. I didn't know what it was at first, and so I just got up and ran, and the car hit me like as it was stopping, and then I flew over some strollers.
The OSU sophomore from Tulsa walked away despite badly cutting her hand. Before she went to the hospital, her roommate tried to shield her from the carnage around her.
There was bodies obviously laying there, and my roommate was like, do not look, because they were putting bags over people, and she's like, you don't want to look over there, and it was just really scary.
Police identified the driver as 25-year-old Adacia Chambers. A man who says he pulled his sons out of the way just in time shared a picture with us, showing officers arresting her.
People were here having fun, and literally they don't know what hit them. I mean, it just came 40, 50 miles an hour, like they were speeding through the crowd of people.
The tragic deaths of 4 and the injuries of dozens more stunned Governor Mary Fallin.
You know, homecoming's a time of celebration. It's a time to enjoy a wonderful Oklahoma tradition, and that's football. And to think that someone could hurt people like this is just unfathomable.
The governor says she hopes to meet with some of the victims tonight, and many plan to join her by sending their thoughts and prayers. Well, a memorial keeps growing here at the corner of Hall of Fame and Main Street, the site of that deadly crash. People are leaving everything from balloons to signs, flowers, and even toys in honor of those killed. Reporting live in Stillwater, Will Dupree, 2 Works For You.
Yeah, when something so awful like this happens, it can be confusing. It's definitely gut-wrenching. There's also a lot of anger toward that suspect, Adacia Chambers. That's something students are working through right now.
When you experience trauma, you just want to be together.
Matt Mills is a campus minister at OSU. He says he didn't set out to plan a large vigil, but so many people wanted to gather.
You just want to be next to somebody, want to be able to voice what you saw, what you heard, and want to try to make sense of it.
Making sense of the crash that killed these 4 people, not an easy task. The youngest victim, Nash Lucas, just 2 years old. The others, Nikita Prabhakar, Bonnie Stone, and Marvin Stone, all being remembered and prayed for tonight. And so is Adacia Chambers, the driver of the car, now held on 4 counts of second-degree murder.
End of the day, hurt people, and she made a few bad choices, and even today I've heard and seen on Facebook lots of prayers for the driver.
Matt says it's understandable that so many people are feeling anger toward Adacia, but these vigil goers are trying to focus on the healing.
It goes to show you that nothing can really break this family here at OSU. So.
Now, of course, with those unexpected and traumatic deaths, there are these unexpected funeral costs that these families are left dealing with. If you would like to help, there's more information on our website, KJRH.com. Meanwhile, here in Stillwater, the healing process is starting to begin. Stephen Romo, 2 Works For You.
A very rough day, Karen. We're the only ones here tonight, which deputies guard this tornado zone around the clock. Curfew started at 9, and residents aren't allowed back until sunrise.
Here's a live look at the proposed site from high above Brookside. 2 News reporter Liz Bry discovered not everyone is thrilled about the new neighbor. Liz?
And Karen, this rendering reveals that Trader Joe's is coming right to this northwest corner of 37th Street and Peoria. And it's right across the street from our 2 Works For You studios.
Showing us the cleanup job ahead. Well, Karen, right now I'm standing in what used to be a barn here in Inola. That storm came through last night and ripped apart this entire building. It even flung pieces of metal and wood hundreds of yards away, striking a few homes close by. Now, despite all this damage that you can see here, families say they're lucky no one was hurt. Reporting live in Inola, Will Dupree, 2 News, Works For You. Well, Karen, over this shoulder, crews are working to repair some broken utility poles, but over this one is a pile of debris that neighbors helped gather up today. If you can imagine, all that broken wood and twisted metal was once a barn that the storm blew apart last night and flung hundreds of yards from here. A group of houses west of Inola took a hard hit during Saturday's storms. Powerful winds caused damage to several buildings on property owned by Jack Graves.
We've got 2 barns total loss, 2 shops. One, I'd say, very heavily damaged, and the house is yet to be determined, but most of the roof was gone.
Family, friends, church members, and even strangers showed up this morning and helped clear away debris.
Couldn't have done it without them. I woke up this morning and looked at it when the sun came up, and I just thought, oh my gosh, where do I start?
When the storm tore apart his barn, a few pieces got thrown into the Armstrong family's house nearby.
We had 2x4 go through the house and a couple bathtubs sucked off and a lot of insulation blown around, so it's going to be a pretty extensive repair.
The storm hit around midnight, so Scott Armstrong and his 17-year-old daughter Taylor could not see the full extent of the damage to their home until daylight.
Oh, it's so surreal. Like, I compared it to a nightmare that I can't wake up from. It's really sad.
It will take months to repair the extensive damage, and they all hope nothing like this happens again. Now, neighbors say the storm lasted less than a minute, but it still left behind all that damage. They say that it's hard to believe no one was hurt during all that. Reporting live in Inola, Will Dupree, 2 News, works for you. This normally busy road here near Weber's Falls is blocked right now. As you can see, several feet of water now cover it because a nearby creek flooded. Now, this road in particular divides the towns of Warner and Weber's Falls, and it's almost 10 feet below water right now after a nearby creek flooded. Neighbors say this usually happens when it rains this hard, but they tell us this is about the worst they've ever seen it. The water probably won't clear off for days, so drivers will have to find some detours.
It affects a lot of people. I've got a brother that just lives about 1.5 miles across the creek, and he'll have to go about 15 miles out of his way to get back to Warner.
The nearby town of Warner has a couple of rural roads blocked right now. We came across a street where a tree got washed out into the middle and is now blocking traffic. With so many roads flooded near here, administrators at the Weber's Falls School District canceled classes tomorrow. Will Dupree, 2 News, works for you.
2 Works for You reporter Will Dupree joins us there now where water's still a problem. What are you seeing there, Will?
Well, Stephen, right now, several inches of water are now rushing across this section of 11th Street near the Creek Turnpike. We've watched several cars pull up here, then decide to turn around. A smart decision, especially after seeing what happened in a neighborhood not far from here. About a dozen families found out how even a little water can cause big problems. Early this morning, water in a normally dry creek bed rose to levels many hadn't seen even in their lifetime.
No, I've never seen it happen. My dad said that 31 years ago, Memorial Day weekend, it had actually washed out. So 31 years later, here it is again.
Eric Martindale, along with about 12 other families, got stuck in their neighborhood in Catoosa. They had no way out after the rushing water tore away the culverts under their street and ripped out the pavement.
The joke we were all making early today, hey, we've ordered pizza, will y'all throw them across to us?
Wagner County hauled in an old tanker car to replace the culverts. Crews then brought in one truckload after another, rock and gravel, to rebuild the road and make it passable again.
They got right out here. We were just impressed. Can't say enough.
Crews will come back in a couple of weeks to put down new pavement.
Well, I'm not a bridge engineer, but it looks pretty good to me.
Neighbors just hope the improvements will help the road withstand any floodwaters that might rise in the future. Now, there are no signs posted saying this road is closed because there is standing water over the road, but any standing water like this should make you second guess crossing it. Reporting live near Catoosa, Will Dupree, 2 Works for You.
Stephen, other families who were swimming in the area say it was, quote, a great day that turned tragic. Now everyone is dealing with a heart-wrenching loss on this holiday. For teenager Matthew Pence, it started out as the perfect Labor Day weekend.
Eat some fish and food and have a good time.
But everything changed fast when an 8-year-old boy drifted to the deep end of the water around 4 o'clock and never resurfaced.
I have a nephew who is 7, and he came to my mind at first. Kind of scary. Didn't know really what to think.
Witnesses say a frantic grandmother ran all over the area searching for the boy in campsites, even parked cars.
We could hear the mom sobbing from all the way down there. So, I mean, she was pretty upset.
The Oklahoma Highway Patrol, along with the Rogers County Sheriff's Office, later found him in 9 feet of water. They say he wasn't wearing a life jacket in the crowded lake, making his family's loss all the more devastating.
It's been very stressful situation. No easy way of handling the loss of a child.
It's a tough lesson to learn on Labor Day weekend, one that will stay with the families on Oologah Lake for a long time.
I mean, my kids can swim really well, but it's still, they can go under and it makes you sick. I mean, it makes your stomach turn.
The entire family of the boy was here tonight. As they loaded him into an ambulance, a family member fainted and collapsed. They were taken to the hospital as a precaution. At Oologah Lake, Darcy Jackson, 2 Works for You.
On one end, construction crews narrow down Riverside. On the other end, they string up fence to close the trail.
I couldn't climb over, I guarantee you.
Forcing walkers to turn around and cyclists to spin fast enough so a car won't clobber them.
Those 18-wheelers coming down that road scare me to death. I mean, you don't have any room to ride.
Paul puts in 50 miles a week while David is just pedaling downtown.
Yeah, I was trying to get across, but I saw that it was closed. I'm like, wait, what?
These longboarders caught in the middle of the construction chaos.
We were told by a biker on the other side that there was like a little gap in the fence over here, and we were like, oh, okay, we'll just squeeze through that. But someone closed that.
With this fence right up to Riverside, some walk the line, others cross with caution, or stand there with nowhere to go until 2017.
Maybe just pull the fences back a little bit, leave a little bit of grass that we can walk through. That'd be awesome.
I felt like, my God, the car coming up right by my handlebars is so close. I said, it's all over.
The heart-wrenching sound of bagpipes force you to reflect on a man's life cut short by tragedy.
Jason was an outstanding person as well as firefighter and family man. It's really tough to lose anybody, but Jason's an exceptionally good guy.
Captain Jason Farley was a firefighter for 20 years and was known as the guy who could cheer up anyone.
He loved life, was always the life of anything we were doing at the time. Never met an enemy. I don't think he ever met a stranger. Just a wonderful person.
Captain Farley died during a water rescue operation last week while evacuating residents from their homes during flash flooding.
Firefighter family is a big family of brothers, and we all band together. We take care of our fallen.
Hundreds of firefighters marched in unison down Will Rogers Boulevard, standing side by side with Captain Farley's wife and daughter.
Anytime something tragic happens in a fire community, everybody bands together and wants to be here to support the family.
A silent community looking on, paying respect and showing support by waving our country's flag.
Community as a whole is mourning, and this is a way to put some closure with it. Honor the family, honor the captain, honor our fire department for the sacrifices they make daily.
It's been a tough week for Claremore, and many hope today's memorial will help the community heal.
When you leave somebody that is as close to the community as what he was, probably, closure, I guess, is a word for it, but it'll take a long time for these people to heal.
Captain Jason Farley was 44. In Claremore, Nathan Edwards, 2 Works for You.